So we are 3 months in to our recent placement of an older school age child, 6 years old. And I want to talk a little bit about some things that I wish I would have known 3 months ago when taking on a child that is already in school and has his little life already. It's very different than even just taking a preschooler. And because we didn't have kids before, it's a new experience for us to deal with the schools and all of that. And I also just kind of want to give an update on what's going on. So a few things that I wish I had known. The first couple weeks was not an indication of how the rest of the placement would go. And we're still early in, I understand, but I feel like we're well over the honeymoon stage. And that was a thing. And I thought I would be immune to it, but it really is a thing where they are very sweet and they listen very well, but maybe a month or two later they start to test your boundaries a little bit, and that's okay. He's still a really great kid, but definitely wanted to see where do I fit? Where's my boundaries? What I can and cannot do. And I've been doing a lot of research into parenting children who have been removed from their families or have experienced trauma. And in case you didn't know, even if they haven't experienced trauma significantly in their home, say like it was something that didn't have to do with the child at all, and if they haven't experienced trauma in their home, being removed from your family is still trauma, and you still need to be very careful when disciplining kids who have undergone trauma. So, and I'm a psychology major. I'm really interested in this stuff, child development and trauma, and how how that changes their brain, how trauma can put a kid in a fight or flight response. We're not going through that with our current placement, but I've been doing a lot of research on that. So the methods of discipline that we use are a lot more gentle. They have to be consistent, but they are gentle, and they're always reminding the child of their preciousness. For example, one thing that we've discovered really works is having eye level and then having the child repeat what they did wrong. So look in my eyes. What is it you did wrong? How can we do this again? And giving them a chance to redo, because that starts to rewire their brains. So these are some methods that we've been learning, and doing things that aren't isolating. So a lot of people do use timeouts, and definitely better than spanking, but I even think that timeouts, if you send them to another room, can be kind of extreme. And doing time ins where, okay, you're going to come sit with me in another room while you cool down, because what you're trying to do is rewire the brain and teach them how to let themselves cool down and let themselves, if they're in that situation again, give themselves a timeout instead of acting out. So we've been doing a lot of very kind of therapeutic discipline, or probably the most simple thing to do is take away, say, TV, because instead of TV, now you have to spend time with me. Sorry, learn to connect. and I can't say enough how good our current placement is, and we really haven't had to use any very drastic discipline strategies with him. But we are trying to be very gentle and kind, because the thing is, being away from your parents is trauma, and it's scary, and they do deserve some mercy and compassion. And I would probably, if we had a harder child, be a lot more frustrated trying to find ways of discipline that would work. But for us so far, that's where we're at. And some other things that I wish I had known, going back to my subject topic of when I first had that placement, was it took a while to bond, and I thought 1 week bonding totally, but the thing is the kid could have their guards up as well. They love their family and they don't know if they can trust you and let you in. And they just came from a whirlwind where every adult that they confided in betrayed them and took them out of their parents' home and put them in situations where they're being questioned all the time. And that is something that frustrates me, is the children are constantly being questioned. They're being questioned, I'm being questioned about them in front of them, and that's not very good for self-worth. So if I have the opportunity, I do like to step aside and ask that we talk about the child out of the child's earshot, because that's not good for their self-worth. And it could, again, be creating more trauma than even necessary for them. Maybe some other things that I would have wished to know is before we took the school age placement is like dealing with the schools and how to set up school buses. And that's done for us. We're out of county, so we had to do that through our caseworker. And I wrote the teacher and I was asking lots of questions, and I'm sure that's fine. And that's how we ended up figuring out all that stuff. So those are some things I wish I had known, along with some thoughts on discipline. Anyway, maybe I'll have another update in a month or two about our current foster care placement. I hope everyone has a good week.